few nights ago, Pablo, my cat, woke me up again. It had already happened several nights in a row, and this time I lost my patience. As I reached for him, the whole nightstand tipped over. Everything crashed onto the floor, including the olive oil lamp that I made a couple of months ago. Sometimes an interruption becomes an invitation to stop, to pay attention, to ask whether there might be something I still need to learn. When I was little, we would have laughed and said, "See, God punished you." Today I smile at that memory, not because I think God broke my lamp, but because Scripture learns me to look differently at moments like these. Then something else happened that completely stunned me. As I delved into this week's Bible readings, suddenly the penny dropped. The readings were pointing me back to a conversation I had a few days earlier. A friend was speaking with complete certainty about another person. Every time I suggested there might be another explanation, a new assumption took its place. One conclusion simply led to another. The strange thing was, none of it was based on something that was actually known. Yet every conclusion was believed with complete certainty. And suddenly I understood why that conversation had stayed with me. It wasn't because I disagreed. It was because I had just witnessed how easily interpretation can begin to replace reality. That realization shocked me. In Mark 4:24, Jesus says, "Pay attention to what you hear." Suddenly I realized he wasn't just speaking about hearing. He was inviting me to examine the way I listen. And I started wondering how often we all do the same. How often do I stop listening because I think I already know? How often do I finish someone's sentence before they finished speaking? How often do I assume I understand another person's motives without even asking? The more I reflected on it, the more I noticed this attitude everywhere. Sometimes it appears as stubbornness, sometimes as always needing to be right, sometimes as impatience, sometimes as gossip, sometimes as conflict. Not because people necessarily want to hurt one another, but because we slowly begin treating our interpretation as though it were reality. And that's when I suddenly understood the part in the readings where so much emphasis is placed on consequences. The danger became clear to me. Because once we stop questioning our own conclusions, we also stop leaving room for the truth to correct us. One assumption leads to another. Relationships begin to suffer. Trust slowly disappears. We pass our conclusions on others, sometimes even to our children, until they begin living from them too. Scripture also gives me the answer. David sets the example. He simply asks, "Who am I?" I don't think he was simply being modest. I think he was making room. Room to receive, room to be corrected, room to keep listening. That question, "Who am I?" stayed with me. Because maybe wisdom doesn't begin when we know more. Maybe it begins when we become willing to receive more. While working with the clay, I realized something. Clay can only become a vessel while it's still willing to be shaped. Only then can it receive the oil, the wick, the light. Perhaps we're not so different. The truth is still speaking. The question is, am I still listening?